Hello, everyone. My journey in food began with a rather peculiar lesson, learning that I couldn't eat more than half of the things on the table. Nowadays, I joke with my friends that I have inherited the pre-Portuguese Indian genes because I have inherited a genetic allergy to green chilies. Green chilies, over 3 decades I learned, actually gave me a lot more than they took away. And I learned that my journey and that detour was my destination all along. Green chilies are a staple part of Indian cuisine, right? And like many people, for me, food became an important cornerstone of some of my fondest food memories. Chilies meant opening up a tiny aluminum tin filled to the brim with my grand aunt's sandgi mirchi. Curd-soaked, sun-dried chilies that brought the smokiness and the warmth from her kitchen in Birwadi all the way straight to our apartment, tiny apartment in Mumbai. Those chilies were her love language. A very simple tomato, cucumber, and chutney sandwich that I shared with my friends became the foundation of decades of our friendship. We're still friends. And chilies were part of a festive platter at Gudi Padwa, alongside jalebi and fafra, that my father and I battled over because we loved all of it. That platter was just like my relationship with my father. Equal parts sweet, tangy, crunchy, salty, and fun. Chilies were witness to some of those most important core memories of my childhood and for the first 2 decades of my life. But at 23, my world shifted twice in the same day. I was on my way to work in a crowded Mumbai local train, and a woman jostled herself over to me in between 2 train stations. She had come to ask me something very important. She looked me straight in the eye, scanned my face, and asked me some questions. She asked me if I was a victim of domestic abuse. She asked me if I needed a shelter, an advocate, or both. You see, she had been scanning my face, and her eyes grazed my jawline that was black and blue from a very bad bout of cystic acne. I calmly tried to reassure her I was fine, I was safe, but I knew she didn't believe me. And the look on her face made me have a flashback. For the 10 years prior, puberty had gifted me problem acne. And for those 10 years, I had given up all the favorite foods I liked, and I had tried every lotion, potion, pill, quack cure, everything there was, without any luck. The male members of our family had a similar problem, but it never fazed them. I, on the other hand, had zero self-confidence. It was normalized for South Asian women, for me, to have food restrictions, and also the rejections that came on the social front and on the matrimonial front were all normal just because of how I looked. I went back into that moment looking at this woman, and her one question, big question, shattered me. In that moment, I couldn't figure out what else was there to give up. I walk into work, and my boss sensed my demeanor right away. When I explained to him what happened, he offered a cure. He wanted me to go take a leap of faith with him and take on an elimination diet for a month. I had lost 10 years of my life already to this pain. 1 month was nothing. I said, sure. But it was that leap of faith that changed everything. By the end of the first week, the elimination diet had isolated the single cause of all that pain, green chilies. By the end of the second week, I could literally see my face. My jawline reappeared, and with it, a little bit of my self-confidence. But now I had a new problem. I was no looking back on the allergy part, but I had a new problem. In preparation for the marriage mart, I was told I needed to learn cooking, so I was. And now I had to relearn everything because I couldn't eat all the dishes I was making, so I had to scrutinize all the morsels. So I decided I was going to start looking for those flavors again. And I found them in the bite of the winter garlic, the crunchiness of the radish pods, the smokiness of the Timur peppers, a little hint of clove here, a little dash of something else there. All those familiar morsels became even more special, and I began to feel nourished again. A few months later, I took another leap of faith and left the sunny shores of Mumbai for cold Midwest to pursue a second master's in landscape architecture. And it was there, while I was in class, that one of those drawing, sketching lessons reinforced something to me that those chilies had been trying to teach me all along. That creativity shines best when you turn the problem that you're dealing with upside down on its head. You see, one afternoon, our design class was assigned a very, very simple exercise, first popularized by Betty Edwards, called upside down drawing. It's a simple exercise. You are given a sketch or a drawing or a picture, and you are asked to recreate it, first by turning it upside down. The goal is to challenge your mind to stop seeing the picture, but see it as a collection of lines and shapes. We created some spectacular masterpieces that day. But the genius, the master stroke of that simple exercise was reminding each and every one of us that creativity was within us all along. I couldn't wait to take that drawing lesson back into my kitchen, and I began looking at my recipes completely differently. I would ask myself, what if I changed this ingredient, swapped it out for something else? What if I pulled my back on something, amplified something else? Where could I add two different things to keep my dish from flatlining? I started seeing the ingredients, the small bits, the simple things that made that one dish come alive. I was getting better and better at it, but I was happy. And the more I worked around my allergy, the more curious I got about the Indian cuisine. So I started researching, and what I found baffled me. Indian cuisine is several thousand years old. The Portuguese brought green chilies to India in the 16th century. Yet, how is it that the entirety of the cuisine centers often around one ingredient? Ever since I found out about my allergy, I had turned that problem, allergy or allergy problem, upside down on its head. I had taken that problem and allowed it to open doors for me, to show me what was possible, then to tell me what was not possible. I had revised and re-revised every single recipe I knew. I wanted to see my cookbooks to be guidebooks so that I could just choose my own adventure. And I didn't find it. So when I started writing, I said, let's reframe this. Reframe the cuisine away from the expectations, away towards acceptance. Just like I had done for myself, my very own upside down challenge. None of it required expertise on my part, except a willingness to just keep going. Even now, some days I think about the woman on the train. Every time I think about her, I remember that she just saw the scars. I saw my scars as a door eventually. Every constraint in life is that door. We just have to remember to walk through it. Thank you.